Superior attack!
Welcome back to Superior Tech. This area is about numbers and how to play characters. So if you're here to learn Genji, then you're in the right place. I'm Respecugnize, and once again, this is Genji. So Genji here speaks in Japanese, and I don't know Japanese, so I have no idea what he just said. But what I do know is that Genji is part of our, I'm going to be dangerous and say dead meta series here. The two-part, the video before this one was Tracer. This one will be Genji as promised. And before everyone gets angry, what I'm saying is just that Genji and Tracer were part of a meta based upon when they were built in the game. They had specific reasons to be there, which was get in the back line, kill squishies, cause the fold, because just like in World of Warcraft, healers die means the tanks die, means the DPS dies, means the raid wiped or the instance wiped. So the same thing in here. That's the way it was designed. There have been changes to the game. Brigitte has the ability and was built specifically to shut down that sort of thing. If you don't think I know what I'm talking about, that's fine. Just go watch Shanghai Dragon games and you will understand exactly how this works. So without going any more bashing of Shanghai Dragons, which was not my purpose, let's just look at the character. We can probably knock this out in one video. So on primary fire, we have Shuriken being a cyber ninja, and let's look at him. That's ninja-like. Being a cyber ninja, he has the ability, just like 80s movies ninjas, to kill people with shuriken, which is not how the weapon works. But, you know, go look it up to see what I'm talking about. The shuriken is a linear projectile. They do 28 damage per projectile, and every time you click, he's going to throw 3 of them in a line. That's what linear means. They are pinpoint, but they are not hit scan. They do actually travel through air, time, and space. They travel at 60 meters per second. They have a rate of fire of 1 shot per second. There's 24 of them in, I guess, well, he holds them in his arm. We'll call that the magazine. There are 3 rounds shot every time you press your left mouse button. He reloads them at 1.5 seconds, and they do headshot. So if we want to look at those really quickly, boom, boom, boom. There you go. And that's what I'm talking about. He can kill stuff with shuriken. So that's pretty straightforward, right? On secondary fire, we have Fan of Blades, which is another way of shooting 3 of these shuriken. It is also a linear projectile, except it's in an arc. There are 28 damage per projectile, 3 projectiles per shot. We're being very redundant. There is a spread angle, and it's basically across the entire front like that. And it's really going to depend on where we are in travel as far as the angle. So that's kind of touchy, and I didn't do the math on it because, once again, I'm really making this video just for the purpose of being complete and for people who still want to play the character. They travel at 60 meters per second. The rate of fire is 1.33 shots per second because the speed is a little different. There's 24 ammo in the magazine still, 3 every time he shoots them, and the reload time is 1.5 seconds because the timing is a little different. They will headshot, and magically Genji still throws 3 of them no matter what the number in the magazine there says. So that can be exploited, meaning you could not have 3 of them, but the game doesn't care. It's not gonna stop the shot. Moving on, at left shift we have Swift Strike. It does 50 damage. It moves at 35 meters per second. It has a maximum range of 14 meters out in the front. Of course, you know, we'll run down quickly and put that to the test on the range, but you could take my word for it. It's going to be 14 meters. The duration is zero point 0.4 seconds, so it's pretty quick, and the cooldown is 8 seconds, except for the fact that it can be reset. It will not headshot, but how you reset it is anytime you kill an enemy with any type of ability, it's going to reset the timer, and if you use this ult, it's going to reset the timer. So moving on to E, there's deflect. The whole duration of the event is 2 seconds, and it has an 8-second cooldown. Basically, whenever there's a projectile, whether it be hit scan or a traveling projectile, he's going to whip out a sword, slashing around in front of him, and none of those projectiles are going to hit him. As a matter of fact, they will deflect them back at the enemy. And even more so and even cooler is that it actually resets that fall off. So if you're moving towards them and you get out of that fall off range, you'll do more damage to the enemy than it could have been done to them. Deflect will not deflect certain weapons. Basically, if it looks like a beam, it's not going to deflect it. That's just the thing. You're not going to whip your sword around magically. Doesn't matter how Space Ninja you are, and get a beam knocked back. You can't knock a beam back. Let's just be honest. That's silly. Suspension of disbelief, right? We believe everything else, but that would just be too much and blow people's minds. So moving on to the last part, we have Dragon Blade, which is ultimate. It is a melee type ultimate. He does 120 damage per swing. The movement speed is 8 meters per second. The maximum range is 5 meters in front of him. The rate of fire is 1.166 swings per second. It takes 1 second to cast it because he's actually going to reach up and pull his sword out and speak in Japanese. And the duration is 6 seconds. You cannot headshot while you're in it, and it takes 1,500 points of charge to get it. He will build charge at 1% per every 3 seconds. Once you are in that mode, you no longer can throw the shuriken. You become a melee character, and once again that will reset the timer. So let's go down to the range, look at some of the movement, and talk about how you're going to play the character if you're still going to do so. So first we'll look at our left shift, and there's 15 meters. So yeah, don't take my word for anything. Let's test everything, and I need to look back at my notes. So, starting with the primary fire, you have the 2 ways of firing. Right there is the linear one on primary, and right there is the arc on the secondary. When and where you're going to use them is going to depend on when and where you are in regards to your fight with the enemy. If you are far away, then you are going to want to shoot a primary target or a singular target. You're just going to go for those headshots, because right there you can see it's very bursty, and it does do some decent damage. I mean, just left clicking with headshots and we're killing just fine. If the enemy is further away, you're not going to want to use that, because you will have to know exactly where those projectiles are and the angle. It does give you the ability to chip multiple enemies, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to hit them all. If you're better at it than I am, like if you could calculate I'm this far away and the enemies are there, and there, then you're a ninja, and you're better at it than most of us are going to be. Typically, what we'll see is the use of secondary fire and a left shift as a 2-in-1, and meaning that we are going to cancel some of the frames of a movement, and we are able to shove 2 moves within the time frame that you would normally have 1 move come out. So if we look at the whole frames of throwing this, which that arm's out and it takes some time to get it back, versus throwing like that where the arm goes out and comes back across, that timing is very specific. And what we can do is initiate the shuriken and immediately initiate the dash, and there we're getting to them almost at the same point. What you do want to do is attempt to verify that you did get the hit, So you want to try to do what they call hit verification when you're doing that. So the left shift, while it can be a move that we're using offensively, it can also be used defensively. It is very good at getting from one point to another because, as we saw, it's going to move you about 15 or 14 meters forward. And so that's a good way to evade being stuck into things. It will not damage Junkrat's steel trap or the venom mine that Widow can throw out. It's just not going to do any damage, but it will set them off. Looking at his ult, this is a part of this burst damage that you can see Genji do, which does, I'm going to be honest, it does still allow you to do a lot of damage to a backline. It does allow you to get into a dive composition where you do cause another team to fold. All the comments and the concepts that everyone have is simply because at 200 health, he is well under the amount of damage Brigitte will do in her simple bread and butter combo of flail, flail, stun, whip shot, or flail, stun, flail, flail, whip shot. Whatever way you're going to do the combo, it doesn't matter. It's going to kill a Genji and it's going to kill a Tracer, which is why in competitive meta right now, you really don't see Genji used, whereas he used to be a very big part of composition in that entire teams were built around Genji players. You had to get a good one because the utilitarian destruction that he would do. Once again, that's still possible with a good Genji player. You can still get in and take advantage of a bad team composition on the far side, or their lack of ability to protect their utility characters, their backline characters, their healers. So looking at the ult, Genji is going to grab a sword, and what we'll try to do is show the reset on left shift because my credibility has already been destroyed with this one. But if we left shift and we're on cooldown, we hit Q, you see that that has been reset. I'm in melee, I'm doing a lot of damage, and I'm killing things. The last part of Genji's suite for mobility is just like all the Shimada brothers, meaning, you know, Hanzo and his abilities. You do have the ability to hold spacebar and to climb walls. He also has the ability to double jump. So if you're going to be playing Genji, it's all about mobility because 200 hit points is not a lot. We've said that multiple times, how just low hit point characters are going to be very reliant on mobility, and Genji is no exception. So what you want to be doing is using your ability to climb walls to get out of certain positions where you would be killed. You're going to be using the double jump because then you have the ability to kind of upset a shot that Hanzo, Widowmaker, or McCree, which are your hit scan characters and fast projectile characters, you're going to be able to reset the way you're getting shot at, because once you are up in the air, you have a very predictable arc in your trajectory. So if I jump like this, all that time once I got to the apex of the jump spent in the air was very dangerous because I had a very predictable trajectory. Using the second jump gives you ability to upset that and make those shots miss. So right there, see, I've reset the jump, and so the trajectory is different. If they were pacing that drop, then I've upset that. You should be using that a lot because you're not going to go toe to toe. So there is a little bit more tech with Genji, but for the most part, that's it. It's pretty straightforward. Move around a lot. You're going to hunt the squishies. You're going to hunt the weak. You will be trying to 2-in-1 your alternate fire on your shuriken because of the difference between the time it takes for primary and secondary. Secondary is just quicker, as we can see, and it allows you to do the 2-in-1 with your left shift, and then hopefully you've killed, and then the left shift is going to be reset. The ultimate will also reset it, and so you're just trying to do a lot of burst damage and not get killed. That's the basis. So remember, look out for Brigitte. She was put there to stop you from doing your job. If the other team doesn't have one, go ahead and exploit that fact and use Genji to initiate those dives with your team. If they do have a Brigitte, then you're going to have to hope that people play her in the front line and they're not protecting the back line. If she is in the back line, you may want to think about switching to another character to get a better composition, or understand that you're just not going to be as effective in the role that you were meant to be. And I, as you may learn or already know, am real big on characters being used effectively, which is why I'm making these videos in hopes that people play the characters more efficiently and we can all have more fun and less flaming in game with people arguably wasting slots or just doing things that don't make sense with their characters. So that is it in a nutshell. If there's some change, such as them deleting Brigitte from the game, or them changing the way that Genji works with a patch or something, or if I made some type of mistake, then I will gladly come in and revise this video and do an update. You just need to send me a text, type, message, do whatever you need to do. Come to my house, knock on the door, be polite, and tell me I made a mistake. We will sit down, chat about it, and then I will make another video and change this. But you need to be patient, because remember, I'm not the best player in the game. I'm just trying to get there.
Respecugnize game when I get on the move. Respecugnize game on Twitch and YouTube. Respecugnize, we the cool for the new and old school. I'ma show you how to do it when I do it so smooth. Respecugnize the truth, respecugnize the new online game time, game on 2 group. Overwatch the PUBG, shooter stats through the roof. Respecugnize game when I get on the move. Respecugnize game on Twitch and YouTube. Respecugnize, we the cool for the new and old school. I'ma show you how to do it when I do it so smooth. Respecugnize the truth, respecugnize the new online game time, game on 2 group. Overwatch the PUBG, shooter stats through the roof. Respecugnize game when I get on the move. Respecugnize game on Twitch and YouTube. Respecugnize, we the cool for the new and old school. I'ma show you how to do it when I do it so smooth. Respecugnize the truth, respecugnize the new online game time, game on.